What happens if you don't have any special restorative yoga props on hand, but you still want to practice restorative yoga? No problem. In day 4 of the Restorative Yoga at Home challenge, we will be simplifying things a lot, using things you already have in your house, so there's no excuse not to take 10 minutes to relax. If you want to start from the very beginning of this challenge, which I highly recommend, click up here or in the description box below to sign up for the entire 12-day series. You'll get each video sent directly to your inbox for free, so you don't miss a single day. Now, judging by what I have in the background, you've probably already guessed what we're about to do today. And even though this pose has an extremely long name, it is quite simple. Today's restorative yoga pose is called Supported Seated Forward Bend with Chair. This pose helps relax your back and neck muscles while gently opening your hips. Because we're bending forward, we are also symbolically tuning inward, and you may find that your mind becomes less busy. All you need for today's practice is a chair, 1 or 2 blankets, and perhaps a pillow to put on top of your chair if it's not cushioned or high enough. Obviously, I have a yoga chair, so that is what I will be using, but you don't need one of those. You can use any chair you have in your house. In fact, even a couch may work. Just make sure that it won't move or slide as you're using it. Take your yoga mat to your chair or your chair to your yoga mat, whichever is easiest, and I'll meet you back here on your mat. The prop setup for supported seated forward bend with chair is pretty simple. I've folded 1 blanket into a square fold blanket. You can see it's a pretty decent thickness and it resembles a smaller square shape. You'll take this blanket with one of the neatly folded corners facing up, come to your chair and place that blanket right in front with the pointy end of the blanket facing toward the chair. Let's sit on top of this now in a cross-legged position. With the chair in front of you, you'll set another blanket on top if you need extra height, followed by a pillow if you need a little bit more height than that. Now, how do you know if you need height? Here's how. Sitting right in front of the chair, away from the chair cross-legged so that it feels comfortable for your hips, and both of the bony parts of your sitting bones are on the blanket, yet when you tip forward, it feels like the blanket is lifting up the back of your pelvis so that you can easily find a little bit more length in your low spine. If you notice you're starting to round, even here, then I suggest another blanket, just stack it on top, give yourself a little bit more height. If you find that your knees don't easily come down to your feet, you can set more blankets or pillows underneath or even use yoga blocks. And if that still doesn't work out, I'm going to give you an option in just a second. But here, now that we're here with the pelvis, this is how we check about the height. We'll just start to lean forward, send your arms forward with the palms down, elbows on the chair, and then rest your forehead. You'll want to be far in front of the chair so that your nose is elevated. The forehead is touching a little bit a higher space on the chair, whether that is the chair itself or a blanket or a pillow. And the back feels like it's evenly rounding with no undue amount of stress or tension, maybe just a gentle opening. So take a moment to figure out what that feels like for you. Where is there the least amount of effort for you to really relax your forehead into the chair? That's why it's helpful to have a pillow there. Your elbows are supported on the chair, your hands are soft, and your whole spine is gently rounding, with some length felt at the very low back. Now this is where you're going to stay if this works out for you. If not, we'll come to sit on the chair instead. Remove the blanket from your mat and sit at the edge of the chair with your feet flat and toes pointing straight forward. Separate your feet a little bit wider, about 10 inches or so, and then exhale and lower your chest down to your thighs and your arms to the floor, letting them hang in between the legs. This version is less of a hip opener, but it's also more accessible if sitting on the floor isn't available to you right now. So choose which version you like, and let's come into the pose and start to experience its calming benefits by holding in silence. Before we get completely silent, encourage yourself to breathe into your back. Get a sense of equal breathing. Inhaling to a slow count of 5. Exhaling to a slow count of 5. Feel your back body expand and fill up with breath on your inhale. And your navel sink inward toward the spine. The whole body relaxes on the exhale. Continue with this slow and steady pace of breath for a few more moments in silence. On your next breath in, start to think about moving. If you're seated on the floor, we will exhale, push your hands into the chair, and lift your chest up. If you're seated on the chair, go ahead and stay there for the remainder of the pose. As you lift your chest up, seated on the floor, let's lean back a little bit, supporting yourself with your hands on the floor so that you can stretch your legs long. And now cross them the other way. The way that probably feels a little strange because you're not used to crossing your legs in both directions. At least most of us have one side that we favor. Once you feel a bit steady in this pose, even though it feels a bit awkward, lower your chest back toward the chair. Maybe the other forearm stacks on top. Chin draws slightly in toward your chest. And relax through the spine. Enjoy the 5-5 count of your breath, equal breathing. Or just completely relax the breath now. Let it be natural as we hold on this side in silence. Notice how the tongue has started to soften. The body has become quieter. Keep this sense of relaxation as we transition out. Go slowly, no matter which version of this pose you're practicing. Take the exhale, place the hands back to the chair, and lift up through the heart. If you are on the chair, you may remain seated, opening the eyes. If you're on the ground, let's stretch the legs out again. If there's space around the chair, resting your hands on the floor behind you. Perhaps a little movement back and forth of the ankles, wiggling through the toes. And find a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you, to close out this practice. Place your hands together at your heart in Anjali mudra. And if it's comfortable, close your eyes. In restorative yoga, we find ways to support our body rather than trying to force it into a shape or a position that isn't comfortable for us. And when we can spend time doing that on a physical level, we often make better choices on a mental and emotional level by creating better boundaries for ourselves, knowing what we are both willing and unwilling to experience. Feel the container of your body fill up with breath. Take one more deep inhale. Open the mouth and sigh out the back of the throat. Exhale. As you release the hands and open the eyes, I'm curious, did having two different options for this one restorative yoga pose help you? And which option did you choose to practice and why? Go ahead now and leave that in the comments below as a self-reflection and a way to encourage other practitioners who are finding their way through the restorative yoga practice. To stay accountable to finish the entire 12 days of this journey, it's always more fun with friends. So go ahead and share the link to the sign-up page for this challenge with a friend and give them the gift of deep relaxation. In day 5's video, we will be exploring a new way to move the spine, one that we haven't practiced yet, so that you can deeply release tension and get a better night's sleep. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much for practicing. Namaste.